Good morning. If you like to eat food, would you raise your hand? Does everyone like to eat? I'm a young boy of 41, and I like to eat, and I have liked to eat food my whole life. What do you call it when you eat outside? Have any of you ever eaten food outside? What do you call it when you eat food outside? A picnic. Who likes picnics? I love picnics. Has anyone ever had a birthday? I've had some birthdays. A long time ago, there was a birthday. I don't think it was mine, and we had a picnic. What kind of food do you have at a picnic? Do you have soda? Okay, I'm glad you started with that because we're going to circle back around to soda. What else do you have at a picnic? Grayson, what do you have at a picnic? What do you like to eat when you're on a picnic? What kind of food? Is there any special kind of food, London? Bananas and watermelon. Well, let me tell you some of the foods that at this particular picnic, birthday picnic, I was eating. We were having watermelon and hot dogs and potato salad, or as I like to say, potato salad, and a whole bunch of other things. And we were having something that I hardly ever got to have. Anybody want to guess what that is? I was very excited. It was not caviar. It was not cornbread, but that's a very good guess. Anybody else want to guess? It was soda. Anybody want to guess what kind of soda? What kind of soda do you think I got to drink? No. Root beer. Does anyone like root beer? I hardly ever got to drink root beer, but this day I got to drink root beer. So I tried to drink as much as possible. It seemed like a good idea at the time. And I was keeping an eye on the bottles of root beer. They were these huge containers, like something like that. And I was keeping an eye on how much was left as they were sitting on the tables. Pretty soon the party was over, and the food started getting put away. And I was watching exactly because I could see that there was still some root beer left in this one bottle. And because I was a very helpful boy, do any of you ever help your parents with chores or anything? You do? That's awesome. I helped carry the food in and put it away, and I made sure that I was the one that carried that bottle of root beer in and put it in the refrigerator, and I kind of tucked it behind some other things to make sure that I knew just exactly where it was. And then it was nighttime. It was time to go to bed. Any of you ever excited about going to bed? Yeah? I was very excited about everyone else going to bed. So everybody else went to bed, and I laid in bed there, and I did not go to sleep. What do you think I did? Anybody want to guess? I very quietly... I did like to read stories in bed sometimes, a lot. But this time, I quietly sneaked out of my bed, something that you should never, ever do unless you think it's a really good idea. And I made my way down the stairs, and I skipped stair number 11 because it made a squeak. And I went down to the kitchen, and it was mostly dark. Where do you think I went in the kitchen? Where was the root beer? It was in the refrigerator. Did I know exactly where it was? I did. I knew exactly where it was because I put it there. There was about this much left, just enough for me to have a little bit before bedtime because, again, it seemed like a really good idea. And I opened the refrigerator door, and I saw that it was there. So I pulled it out very carefully. I did not want to make any noise at all. Are you following? I pulled it out, and I very carefully unscrewed the lid, the cap on top, so that it wouldn't make any noise. And I was so excited because I'd never gotten to do this before. And I went and I took a big drink because I'd already decided I was going to finish this in two gulps. I took a big drink and I just savored it. I just held it in my mouth, just savoring it. Again, how many of you like root beer? Yeah. And after 5 or 10 seconds, I realized that this tasted nothing like the root beer I was expecting. In fact, it was the opposite of what root beer should taste like. And after another 5 or 10 seconds, I went over to the sink and I spit it out because it tasted so horrible. And all of a sudden, I heard something in the kitchen. What do you think I heard? I'm going to ask if you know what a word means, and then I'm going to ask if you to remember it. Does anybody know what chortling means? Okay, chortling is what an adult does when they're laughing at you. Somebody was chortling behind the counter. I'd like for you to guess who was chortling at me. Just take a guess. It was my dad. Was this an okay thing for him to do? This was not funny at all because I was looking forward to root beer. And what really bothered me is that he thought he knew what I was going to do. He thought he knew what I was going to do, and even though his thought was correct, and that is what I did, it still bothered me that he knew that ahead of time. So he had planned ahead, and he had swapped out the root beer for soy sauce. Is that a nice thing to do? Is it a funny thing to do? Is it something that he should have been, what's that word? Chortle? Is it something that he should have been chortling about? I don't know. Well, fortunately, he had tucked back another can of root beer somewhere, so he went ahead and drank that, and then I went to bed. And I've thought about that many times since. And there are two lessons that I've taken from that. Number one is that I think it's a really good idea for parents to play practical jokes on their children. And number two, what is one word that you think of when you think of Jesus? One word. Is Jesus really mean? Does Jesus dislike children? Jesus likes everyone. One of my favorite pictures of Jesus is when I imagine Jesus surrounded by children, smiling, laughing children. Can you ever imagine Jesus smiling or laughing? Yeah. That's a yes or no. Yeah, love. I can definitely imagine Jesus smiling and laughing. Do you think that Jesus would have a good time playing and joking around and having fun with you guys? Did he love children? I think we know that Jesus loved children, and that is one of my favorite pictures of Jesus. And I got a little glimpse of that with my dad, who loved practical jokes. It was soy sauce. Yeah, it does not. So I can tell you that soy sauce tastes very distinctly different than root beer. So, as you go back to your seats now, remember this story always, and remember that Jesus loves you.